This movie is terrifying in concept. This movie taught me to avoid Amsterdam at all costs. This movie taught me to avoid hostels. I'm Mint Salad and I saw Hostel. It is written and directed by Eli Roth. And if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. This movie starts for following 3 Americans as they go through Amsterdam, have a nice chill time, partying. We're focused on 3 dudes. We got a responsible guy, we got a guy who's only focused on sex, and then a guy kind of in the middle. Alright, something interesting's happening. They're on this train, and while they're on this train, there's this man who's like, hey, where you going? And they're like, oh, we're gonna go to this hostel, we're gonna bang some chicks. And this guy, right, he's like, yeah, they got the hot chicks there. But what's also interesting is right before this interaction, there's another interaction talking about the same hostel. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna go there, we're gonna have a good old time, we're gonna bang these chicks. And I'm just thinking, man, does everyone here know about this one particular hostel? Or is this guy trying to sell these dudes on this hostel for some reason? And it's such high exaggeration, I imagine, with the words that they use to market the hostel. Like, it's all about word of mouth, it's not on the map, but these chicks, they will bang you because you're American and you have an American accent. I'm like, man, you're trying too hard to get me to go to this place. Something bad is happening there. But these boys, they're not thinking with their heads, they're thinking with their heads. I've made that joke so many times in movie reviews, but I'm still gonna keep making that joke because it's awesome. So they're not having a think session. They're thinking, oh, we're gonna have sex with these hot chicks, right? And so they go to this hostel, and the first night it's all handy dandy cool stuff. Is Amsterdam like this? Does it just got like chicks on display in glass and you can go to specific rooms and have fun sex stuff happened with her or something? Is that what Amsterdam's like? I've never been. If someone has ever been in Amsterdam, comment, let me know what it is like. Tell us the goods. Tell me and everybody else who's watching this video what it's like. Thank you. So anyway, we got these dudes. One of them checks out early. And it's like, well, that's weird. That guy would not really do that. I mean, kind of would. He's a wild card. And then the next guy checks out early. That dude in particular would not do that without a note. And so the last guy, is the guy who's been so focused on sex, so focused on banging these chicks, that all red flags are missed until he's told that his responsible friend has checked out. And then he's like, what is going on? He's smart enough to be like, something weird's happening. He'll just leave me a note. And these freaking hotel employees, these chicks that he's hanging out with that are having it so he stays another day because they planned on leaving. But because of this dude's desire to hang out with these chicks, they stay an extra day, and therefore just random dudes. I don't know who's kidnapping these guys, because their friends get kidnapped. This guy's friends gets kidnapped, leaving him alone in a foreign country, which is terrifying on its own. But who's doing the kidnapping of these guys? Really, you gotta really think about that. Who is it? This man who's running the whole thing? Is it goons? What's going on? But we are revealed who's doing the dirty deed of kidnapping these fellas. It was the guy on the train. He was doing the old pitch, and these fellas were like, ooh, this sounds great, cool. And they got caught in his trap. And so this man's like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Oh wow, I can't believe it. I like the dramatic irony aspect of this because the audience knows who it is, and these guys are revealed that it's this guy, but they get killed off before they can share this information with their friend. And the way that he does the murders and the violence really brutal. Like, you cut the guy's back of his heels off and then let him go, and then he falls forward. Like, that's crazy. I will say the violence in this is very concentrated. As soon as the violence happens, it's like, oh my goodness, that's out of nowhere. And then it's like probably 30 seconds to a minute. It's never like, little saw levels of straight up torture on screen for a minute. No, it's always concentrated, like, oh my god, that's a terrifying concept. That's awful. There's also this chick too that he was hanging out with, having a little chat, who's also gone. It was like this Asian lady. She barely spoke any English, but she knew about the trains, and the trains are a recurring theme throughout this. And this dude, he also gets kidnapped, but however, he was able to let himself go and then hide within bodies. And it's revealed that these dudes are chopping up these bodies, but it's like, why? What's their incentive? Why are they doing this? And I really like how this movie does the pacing and the information giving out. And it does it at a nice, well pace, and I don't predict anything at all in this movie. I'm actually thrown the natural course of things, and I'm actually really liking this movie a lot at this point, despite the gore. I'm like, man, this movie's really good structurally, and it's psychological horror, as I like to deem it, because it could happen to anyone. And the end, I'm not going to spoil the twist at this moment, but it just makes me think, this is actually happening. I'm sure this is actually happening. Oh no, right? So this guy, while kind of being undercover and just sneaking around, learns the business, what's going on. He almost gets caught, but the guy from Suits, the Harvey's arch nemesis, I forget his name, but he's in it. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's him. That's cool. I've only seen like the first 6 episodes of Suits, so I don't really have much exposure to that show, but I saw him, I was like, oh my goodness, that's cool. And then he appears, and he starts saying stuff like, oh yeah, I'm here for a good time. It's like, okay, so you're kind of like a tourist of this thing? Okay, some stuff's happening. And then he sees some figures on this like paper, and it's like different nationalities, different amount of money, and the American is like a ton of money. It's like, are they selling these people for amounts of money? Like, are these bounties? Okay. And this guy is describing like, how did you do the dirty deeds or whatever, and it's like, okay. And then here's like the big bomb drop. This guy now has a gun. The friend who wanted to bang those chicks, so focused on banging on chicks, it's just such a dramatic character growth in this movie. By the end of the movie, he's not focused on the hot chicks anymore. He's just like, I just want to survive, man. These guys are murdering people. Here's the final bomb drop. He opens the door, catches the guy I was just mentioning a little bit earlier, the guy from Suits, doing some torture on the chick who barely spoke any English. Like, her eyes popping out of her skull and everything, and he's like, get your own room, I paid good money for this. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like a tourist thing for rich people to torture people. This is terrifying, and I believe it exists because it makes sense. Humans are trash. Okay, they do trash things at the worst of the worst, and do great things at the best of the best. But which is easier, the best or the worst? And I'm thinking the worst is easier to find. Oh my goodness, it's terrifying. And so obviously that guy goes pew, and is satisfying to watch. There's a moment where he's able to leave, like almost just flawlessly leave, but then you hear the screaming of the chick, and that's how he finds out about the whole scheme. And then he saves the chick, and they go on a run, and they go to the trains, and she finds herself in a mirror, like in a reflection of the window or whatever. It's a reflection, and she sees her face is like mutilated, and she's like, I don't want to live with this. And so she decides, the awesome thing is she just decides to just run in front of a train, causing a distraction, making it so this dude can go on the train in the bathroom, just holding it there, making sure no one can get in there and ticket him or whatever, and then he just escapes. This is an awesome movie. Like, I'm not a big fan of the gore, but the story is cool. And the character development of that guy, I was like, wow, I was not expecting him to live. But he was a survivor, and he was awesome, and now I think he's going to think twice about talking to any hot chicks, because, by the way, those hot chicks that he was so desperate to hang out with, they were being paid. Also, the guy who's running all this, major influence. Luckily, that guy, the guy wanted to bone those chicks in the beginning, major character progression. He ended up just murdering that guy. When he heard him doing the pitch on the train, he followed him, and then when he's in a nice little bathroom alone, he cut off his fingers because the own guy also got his fingers cut off, and then he drowned him in the toilet. It was awesome. I was like, this is so cool, and then bam! I was like, wow, this is so satisfying of a movie. If you like a great story and you don't mind gore, you should definitely check out this movie. I gotta give it's a solid 7.7 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one on the platform with likes at $20 Dinos or patreon.com/ASEPresents. One movie review per 1 month. Go to this link tree, it really helps with the daily grind of all them daily movies, so go here. And until next time, I'm in Salad Saw. See you to my sour croutons and bacon bits.